My name is Charles Andrew Ingram. I'm a resident of Acres Home. But before then, I was a resident, long born and reared in Dallas, Texas. Acres Home at one time, the history is Alfred Wright was a landowner, and you could buy the land by the acre for $120, $5 down, $5 a month. And that's how the Acres Home community itself became here. It was the largest community, I believe it was southwest of the Mississippi at that time in the 1930s. Since then, the residents here have secured ownership of the land, and they had their own bus service, their own pharmacy, they had their general practitioners here, Dr. Armstrong, Dr. Andrews. You had funeral homes here. You had two or three of those. We had food stores. We had everything self-contained, even a bus service, and they call it the Carnation Can. The bus service knew exactly, it ran when you needed it. When it became school hours or what have you, you could depend on that bus to pick you up and take you downtown or wherever you were to make a transfer to go to your particular school. And it knew just when you were getting out of school to pick you up and bring you back to the Acres Home community. Acres Home was a friendly, thriving community, though it is mostly agrarian, because people had their own chickens and what have you, and it was in the county. It was annexed in 3 phases by the Hoffine administration, I believe in the 1974s. But people were friendly, they were neighborly. You could get sugar, you could borrow an egg and all that from one another. People had concern, and they just had a genuine love for its neighbor. You had at that time, I think you have like 88 churches and what have you that we have at this time, maybe 120 pastors or what have you, probably not in that order, in reverse order. And we have 3 school districts. Acres Home is unique in itself. You have Klein, Aldine, and HISD school district. You only have 2 government housing, which is one on Bingo and one is in Garden City. So we had everything self-contained. We could depend on one another. We loved one another. And the stores, we had all of those. And some of the stores are yet still here. Orlando, Wayne. It's not as it once was because of generation differences. They aren't as friendly as they were then, or the stores in the olden days when I got here, if you had not enough funds to get groceries, you could just go to the store. They knew who you were, and your word was your bond. And with the transition of integration and what have you coming up afloat, I guess everybody think the water is better on the other side of the street. I guess the ice is colder. So we lost a lot of our concerned citizens, our first-time citizens and what have you, due to transition. But Acres Home is yet still here, and it's still vital and vibrant. And as I said before, you're 10 minutes from downtown, 10 minutes from the airport, and you have Highway 45 and so forth to 88, 249. We're right near the highway for transportation, and it's self-contained. And Acres Home in itself does not really flood. Even though we had Hurricane Harvey to come through, we only had a few houses that had water in it that needed some assistance, but not on the scale that the other communities had. And so it sits high. It's a great place to invest, a great place to bring up your children. It's a great community, but it's like an oasis in the middle of a desert. No one know about it. No one act like they've heard about it. But we're here, and we're still growing, and we're vibrant. But since then, moving here in the early 70s, Acres Home was somewhere in the neighborhood of 80% to 78% blacks. The representation of blacks here has since diminished to where somewhere like 18%. And that's due to transition. And economic development has coming in, but we still need infrastructure that is necessary in Acres Home. We did not have an investment zone. We don't have a lot of investors coming in here, but reason, I don't know, because we have all the resources. We have land that virgin land. We have the land does not flood. We have school districts. We have your churches. We have it all here. So why, I do not know. But as I said before, when it was in its early stages, we did not worry about the other communities. We had our own, and we were doing well. But integration and things came about, and with the transition and the movement of people, you can see the difference. And it's not that kind of concern or love that was generated there in the past. We didn't have a lot of problem with children because the teachers either stayed out here or they had gone to school out here. If nothing else, they knew the parents. They only had to say, I'll talk to your pastor. I know your mother. Do your father know that you're doing this? And you didn't have to get a paddle. You didn't have to make a phone call. And heaven knows you did not have to make a home visit because the child did not want to be involved with any, the parent, the mother, the father, or the pastor. And we had churches out here. We had over 88 churches and pastors. We had those guys here, and they had a genuine concern and love for the children. And the bus service that were here, they called it the Carnation Can. It was red and white. It was black owned. Everything in Acres Home was black owned. And that bus knew exactly when to pick you up and when to bring you back home and where to drop you off. It was almost like your personal cab. And as I said before, the stores itself, the residents didn't go lacking for various things because the ownership of these stores knew the residents in the community. And they knew they had a word. And they say, if I need a loaf of bread or what have you, they would give it to them and they would pay on time, promptly. It was that kind of communication that we had. But we were in the county. But we were not annexed at that time. So that was the thing that was in existence then. We were concerned of one another. You borrow an egg from a neighbor, you could get it back. It was that kinship, that closeness. But as I said before, progress has a way of relocating, bringing in new people, different ideas, and no one frowns on progress. But in progress, we lose a little that we had obtained. And that could be good, and that could be bad. It depends on how you look at it. But Acres Home in itself is not as it once was, and I can only see a remnants of the past, yet still here. Basic leaders in the Acres Home community, knowing the times, were ladies, and they were, and I don't want to call the name because I'm going to leave out some. It was like they were the leaders, or they could speak, but they never lost that the man was the man. But the other side of the road would prefer to have them speak in their behalf, but they always knew who were their other partner, who their partner were. And that's how we were able to achieve. We could say, go ahead and so-and-so, they're looking for so-and-so, and you could go in there. In other words, I've seen it happen. The lady was not, they were not going to hear the man. He could not have a voice. He could not come before the podium or platform. So when she came and they allowed her, then she immediately said, after she spoke for a minute or two, and by the way, let me introduce you to so-and-so. And therefore, that's how we were able to get our voices heard. As I said before, it's a great community, but you got to know your resources. Our black ladies were our resources, and they knew that, and they did not what we call, everybody got a saying, say you got a place. I won't say they had a place, they had a concern, and they knew if they want to achieve and help the other part, their soul brother or what have your husband, they had to do that which would be taken and could be used to the benefit of the community and the family. And that's how family, knowing what you have to deal with, knowing your resources, and knowing how to deal to get that what you needed. And that's what they did. And I salute them, the great ladies that were here that did that, and they benefited the community as a whole, their family, as well as their spouses. It's a great deal. So, as I said before, come here at Acres Home. We have a tradition. It is a tradition. And if you walk around and you visit various areas, you'll see historical monuments. And as I've said, and I'll say it again, I got here as quick as I could.